Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Good morning and welcome to the Ordinary Daily version of the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We had some really good weather here over the weekend. Saturday morning, maybe a little bit rainy. It wasn't even really that rainy. I think super early it was rainy. But yeah, I mean, sort of a mixed bag for me. We're going to get into that in just a minute. I want to just congratulate Scott Frassard for participating. I don't even know what to say. Let me tell you the story. So Scott was doing this 70.3 Ironman in Texas over the weekend. And I guess the weather did not cooperate at all. So rain, hail, and I think, you know what, you can kind of, as long as there's no lightning, you can kind of get through the rain, and slog through it somehow. I know I hate the rain, and I know I tell you guys, if it's raining here, I typically will work out indoors. I'll run or do whatever indoors. I don't like the rain. I don't like training in the rain, and I certainly wouldn't like racing in the rain, but it's happened to me, and you kind of just deal with it. So Scott went he's from Texas, so he didn't go anywhere. Texas is a big state, though. It could have been a long drive for all I know. Got out on I don't know if it was raining on the bike. I'm assuming it was because I saw the weather pattern on the satellite photo and it looked really bad. But he got out on the run. I think he finished about a third of the run. It was hailing. And I think they had multiple times where they stopped the race or postponed, just paused the race for weather. And then finally they just canceled it. They handed him a medal. And I got to tell you, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I don't know how I'd feel about not finishing the full distance. I mean, I know I'd feel like, hey, I showed up. The weather was something that was so bad that they felt like they needed to cancel or they needed to stop the race early. And then they hand you a medal, but you didn't finish the full 70.3. How do you, I don't know how you feel about that. I think I'd feel shortchanged. I think I'd feel upset. Because you train so hard to do the distance, and then when the day comes, and the weather doesn't cooperate, and the race officials do what they can do, and it's very hard to say something like, well, why don't they just move it to another day, or something like that. You can't move things around. I mean, people travel to these things from long distances, and they make arrangements to be there, and it's not easy. And I feel for the race directors in that situation. I also feel for the athletes in that situation. But as an athlete myself, I don't know how I'd feel in that, I think I feel shortchanged. I think I'd feel upset. But congratulations. You know what? You did you did the most you could do, Scott. You did you did the most you did what they asked you to. So if they're going to hand you the medal, you're going to take it. Tyshawn Law's out there doing a 15K over the weekend. I know he's training for Philadelphia half. So congratulations, Tyshawn. Moving right along there. Things are going well for you, it looks like. I don't really want to start this congratulating everybody because I know I'm going to forget people because it's 6 a.m. and I don't have a good memory to begin with. And now you're at it. I mean, half the times I do this podcast and by noon I've forgotten what I've said. But, I know I'm going to miss some people who participated in races over the weekend. So I'm sorry if I missed you, but those are the two names that just kind of popped up off the page into my head this morning. So, like I said, a mixed bag for me this weekend. Let's kind of go over it quickly. Friday, I did get what I needed to do on Friday. Did my yoga. Friday wasn't a swim. Friday was a bike. It was kind of a weak bike. It wasn't a great bike, but it was indoors. I got my bike back. I was very excited. Just kind of ran out of time. Anyway. So that brought us to the weekend. Now, I did flop my long run and my long bike because of weather and because of scheduling. I flip-flopped it. I was going to do my bike on Saturday and my run on Sunday. Turned out changing those things around. I just changed the dates. And whatever. It is, is what it is. I don't think it's detrimental to my training that I changed those dates. But I wanted to make sure I got outside on the bike, and I needed the most advantageous situation for the bike over the weekend. And I think I got it. We did okay. So Saturday I went outside and did my run. And I didn't really have a plan in mind. I didn't have a route. I kind of just made it up as I went along. I kind of thought in my head, all right, if you wanted a minimum of 10, and if you want to do 10, this is the route you're going to take. If you want to do 15, you're just going to extend it this way. I did leave myself sort of a window at around 10 miles to kind of end it and go home if I wanted. I chose a hilly route. I feel like I'm going to be running hills in Lake Placid. So that was kind of my thinking behind it. But I think the hills definitely, kind of eventually just paid the price. It paid a price. I paid a price for choosing the hilly route, put it that way. So I started out and really, I don't know if you guys saw, but on Twitter I posted a picture of my Garmin. My Garmin broke and I bought the replacement parts. I actually just fixed it. Me and Sam did a video. It's going to be out probably today. And anyway, it was broken. So instead of wearing it on my wrist, I just put it in my shorts pocket and ran with it. So it was interesting. It's kind of like an interesting run for me. And I don't know if you guys get used to looking at your watch all the time when you run, you'll know. You kind of fall into like a pattern, right? You fall into a habit of looking at it, especially if you have it set to kind of, mine buzzes every mile and it shows me my mile pace. So now it's in my pocket, so I don't feel it buzz. I just kind of run. And the route I chose had a number of different. So one of the other things I do is I carry my water with me. I used to have a water belt. I hate the water belt. I just hate it. I feel like it drags me down. I never tried the vest or the backpack. I probably should, because right now I carry like a water bottle with me. So my route, when I planned it in my head, had multiple stops where I could get more water. Makes sense, right? So it was pretty hot out. I think it hit 70 on Saturday. I just wanted to make sure that, my first run out, I had plenty of water. So I make sure that there's convenience stores or whatever, and there's a water fountain in the park that now I don't like to use, but in a pinch, it's not so bad. And I hit the pavement and I went out, and not seeing your pace when you're looking down, it just means, I decided that what I wanted to do was just kind of run at a pace that was enjoyable, not be concerned about how fast or slow I was running. Just get the distance and run comfortably. And it kind of worked. I felt really good for a long time. I hit the hilly area around mile 4. There's just, I don't know, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. It's just crazy. And I probably could have made it even hillier, but when I was in the park, I decided to kind of cut one of the hills out. Basically, you have to, if I would have made a right, I would have went uphill and then all the way back down. But instead, I just went straight and I just cut one of the hills out. You sue me. But I still got plenty of hills in, trust me. And, man, it was tough. And I felt really good around mile 8, mile 9. I was feeling pretty good. And somewhere around like mile 9.5, I was running. And for some reason, it just hit me like I didn't bring any nutrition with me. And really, like when I think about it, like that's probably where if I needed it, like that's where my body would be like, "Hey, dude, something's off here. Like you're missing something." And it was starting to tell me that. My body was starting to tell me that. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, geez, I didn't bring any gels, didn't bring any bars, didn't bring anything. I even my water, when I train indoors, and I think this is why I didn't bring it, why I just totally slipped my mind. And it's funny because you go on long runs and like I'm taking the mental checklist. I'm like, all right, Band-Aids in places it needs to be, the chafing cream in places it needs to be. And I got my sneakers, got my watch, got whatever I need. I felt like I had everything, and I just forgot nutrition. And it really is because on the treadmill, all I do is drink the Gatorade because it's got calories, it's got salt, and it's been working. So I didn't bring it with me. I just was drinking water. So around mile 9, I was starting to feel a little bit of pain, and it hit me like, geez, I didn't bring anything. And the convenience stores, they don't sell goo gels. I probably could have made do, but at that point, I kind of felt like, all right, I did 10 miles. They were hilly miles. I didn't even know my pace. I had my bailout point to go home, and I took it, and I went home. but it was okay. And it was sub 11-minute miles, which was, I was kind of concerned. For some reason, I was kind of concerned that my pace was going to be north of that and closer to 12, which wouldn't have been so bad. Like I said, I was just trying to get acclimated to doing long runs outside that I haven't done. I've done a couple runs outside, but not anything close to 10 miles, more like 5 or 6. So it was less than I wanted to do. I think I had my eyes set on 15 or 16. That was my ambitious eyes. But then when I kind of realized I didn't bring nutrition with me, stupid, but whatever, it happens. I kind of just bailed at 10 miles and, I'm just going to take it. I didn't feel triumphant over it. I didn't feel wonderful or great. But again, I still have, I want to say I have like a 10-week block here starting this week. So with that in mind, I have time. I don't know that I've ever really started a season feeling comfortable doing 10 miles, but I felt comfortable doing 10 miles. It didn't kill me. I just took my bailout point and was happy with what I did up to that point. And besides, I kind of was really gearing up for my bike ride on Sunday because I've done a lot of work in the off season on the bike. And this was my first real test. I think my first real test was supposed to be last week, but I fell on the ice. But I knew that, the weather was better. We had a week of decent weather. We had a week of kind of like not really freezing temperatures too much. So I was hoping that everything was going to be good. Got up, went to, it was cold. It was cold actually yesterday morning. And when I say cold, you Canadians and you guys that are running in the freezing weather are going to laugh at me, but it was 35 degrees. Now, 35 degrees to run is fine. I would even run in 35 degrees and not complain. But for me to ride, when I start off that ride, it is really cold. The wind with 35 degrees is really cold. And I was going to push it off, but then we had things planned during the day. And I'm like, I kind of threw a little hissy fit. You can ask Steph. I got to go now. I can't wait. I got to go now. I have no other choice. It's going to be cold. It's going to, I'm going to run out of time. I got to get this done. She said, well, why don't you ride indoors? Like I always do. I can't ride indoors. I have to ride outdoors. I threw a fit. I did. Bad behavior. So I went to the track. I went to the trail. Back to the trail. Actually, I did bring the GoPro, but I didn't get any footage. The thing had no batteries, and I think because we were trying to make a video the night before, and it's not even that I forgot to charge it. It just, whatever. It is what it is. No batteries. So got on the trail, and again, I was doing my eyes were on 45 miles, and I had to be home within 3 hours. So I'm thinking in my head, 45 miles, 15 miles an hour. I'll be home I'll be done in 3 hours. And, I went back to the data on my watch for the past year, and I looked at my long rides, and I did this after the fact. And had I done this, I probably wouldn't have gone out on the bike for 45 miles because anything over 45 miles for me last year was average mile per hour 12.3. Maybe there was one that was like 14.6. I think there was a shorter ride, maybe like a 30-mile one that was like 15.2 or something. Everything, unless it was like a shorter ride, everything was under 15 miles an hour and sometimes significantly. And I remember some of those rides. Remember how they went. I was kind of overweight. Wasn't feeling good. One ride, I remember my back just hurting so bad and just like wanting to almost get off the bike and walk it home the last 3 miles. So this was a test. This 45 miles was a test. And I got to tell you guys, I passed this test with flying colors. I got on that bike. I started riding south, and I couldn't really remember even how far it was to the end of the trail. But I got to like about 22 and a half miles, which is half of 45. And I looked at the watch, and it was an hour and 25 minutes. So I'm through. I know in my head that if I was there in an hour and a half, that would be the halfway point. I'd be right on 15 miles an hour, but I'm through 15 miles an hour and I still had legs. I still felt good. So I turned the bike around, I rode back, and I rode hard. and especially like as I kept getting closer and closer to the finish, I kept going harder and harder, like negative splits type of things. That's how, for running. But I just felt good, and I kept attacking, and I finished it. I finished the 45 miles in a little bit over an hour and 45 minutes. And when I looked at the miles per hour, I averaged 16.3 miles an hour. Now, this is not a hilly course. There's some little hills, but there's nothing like Lake Placid. But still, I've done this ride a lot of times in the past 2 years. This was over 1 mile an hour faster than my fastest average pace doing this kind of ride. And for that, I got to feel great. And I never hit pause on the Garmin. There's a lot of traffic lights and stops and roads that you have to pass through. And it's safe. It's just not, it's one of the things I kind of hate this ride for is there's a lot of spots where you kind of build up momentum going downhill, and then right at the base of the hill when you're kind of looking to coast or take that kind of momentum that you built up going down the hill and just take a little break on the pedals, either there's a sharp turn, like a 90-degree turn that you kind of have to stop for, or there's a traffic light, or not even a traffic light, just an intersection that you have to stop for. And then starting the pedals over again once you've stopped, it's work, and especially work on the back end of the ride when you've been doing it for a long period of time. You like to kind of maintain that momentum. It's something where in a race, typically you're not hitting the brakes at all. Maybe for the water stops, right? But typically you're on the road. You're not stopping for intersections. You're not stopping for cars. Usually the traffic is just kind of taken care of. And yeah, you got to be aware of it all the time. But it's not something, you're concerned of. So I do think that there's an additional training aspect. And I do think that on average, maybe you would have to add like a 0.1 or 0.2 miles an hour just for all those stops and starts and waits at the light. Those bother me too. But honestly, I didn't even wait that long. I was out early enough that there wasn't much traffic on even the more the bigger intersections. There wasn't really a lot of traffic. I was able to kind of ride through. But man, I felt so good because I remember I remembered in my head from last year. I remember doing this ride, and I remember suffering those last 3 miles. And obviously, I was 20 pounds heavier, and I didn't feel good about myself or where I was in training. And I was pressing, and man, and the numbers just weren't adding up. I knew I was in trouble last year at this point in time. And yesterday, when I rode 45 miles, I felt great, and I pushed hard, and what a great ride! It just was a great ride. That's it. So I'm feeling good. I will say I'm a little, heading into this week after yesterday, I'm a little behind in that I should have taken a look at the calendar. I need to structure this week a little bit. And today I'll be doing yoga. I guess I'm going to swim, but I don't even know. I got to look at the calendar to make sure I have everything all set. I don't know what I'm going to do today. Maybe I'll run. I don't know. Kind of one of those things I let slip, I think, is scheduling for the week. But, yeah, I felt like I had a great weekend. Now, here's the issue. Is I wake up this morning with 111 days left for Lake Placid. I step on the scale, 224 pounds. 224 pounds. That's by far the highest number not by far, but that is the highest number I've written here ever since I've done the live podcast, which has been 3 or 4 weeks. So let's see. Last week we talked about this. I'm trying to see how much time because I'm probably going to go off here a little bit. Anyway, last week we talked about this. Now, I burned about 1,700 to 1,800 calories on my run on Saturday. My Garmin tells me I burned over 2,500 calories on the bike yesterday. That's kind of subject. I feel like that's a little high. But anyway, those are high calorie burn workouts. You'd like to think if you put out that effort that I would come back to you on the scale a little bit. That I wouldn't be posting my highest weight ever on this board. I'd be I'd be less. And I told you guys I'd be on MyFitnessPal, and I did sporadically over the weekend. And I think on Friday, when I set out on Friday to do it, I wanted to just kind of learn what a normal day was. So I didn't focus on diet. I just ate what I ate, and I tried to make sure to write it down, put it into MyFitnessPal. And yeah, guess what, guys? I'm overeating. And I wasn't totally shocked, but maybe I thought I was eating 2,500 to 3,000 calories. It's more like 3,500 to 4,000. It's just what I'm doing, and I think I got to about 2,700 calories on Friday, and I was like, wow, wake up call, and I didn't even bother doing the rest. Saturday, similar. Saturday, I tried to watch what I was eating and be a little more cautious. And I don't even remember what happened on Saturday. Something happened. I don't know. Did we go out to eat? I don't remember. I think we did. Oh, we went out to eat. Oh, you know what it was? All right. So we went out to an Italian place, and I figured I'm doing my long bike the next day. So I need the carbs. I had done the run, so I was happy with getting some carbs and protein. Had a big bowl of pasta with chicken, which at an Italian restaurant, I ate one piece of bread. I ordered clam chowder. Why would I do that to myself? I haven't been eating a lot of dairy lately, but I was like, oh, clam chowder. I just burned 2,000 calories. Let me have some. But I wasn't really, I felt like I was fueling up for my ride the next day. So the next day came, went out on the bike. Yeah, I had a couple Gatorades on the bike, 180 calories each. Got home. We went to hibachi last night. Sam loves hibachi. And we brought Ellie for the first time. I kind of was nervous about that because, they do like the onion volcano and stuff, and I thought that she'd cry and get scared. She didn't at all. She actually was fascinated. 4 months old, fascinated by hibachi. It was hilarious. I should have taken video of it, but I didn't. But yeah, it turned out to be a great day. But hibachi, and that's, I think, the primary catalyst for this number yesterday was a giant Sapporo that I drank. And the sodium in typical Chinese food, Asian food, Japanese. What is hibachi? It's Chinese. It's fried rice, so it's like Chinese food. But anyway, I ordered the shrimp, which I thought was the most low-cal, right? Compared to like the chicken or the steak or whatever. So I ordered the shrimp, which I always feel like the shrimp is probably the most low-cal. I don't know. But yeah, all the sodium in that, the rice. We ordered a side of noodles because Sam loves the little noodles that I ate some of. And we had dessert. Man. Anyway, I'm not going to kill myself over it. And I'm not going to kill myself over this number. My average last week was 220.7, which is kind of like right around, I flatlined. On an average basis, if I take my average weight from every day, I flatlined for the last month. But I need to lose some. And I think what over the weekend I learned through the MyFitnessPal is I'm eating too much. I have to make smarter choices. We talked about, I talked with Ben Hinton a little bit about snack prep. And it's true. When I look around here, all my snacks are like 200 to 250 calories, which isn't that bad if you're going to have a snack, a mid-meal snack. But when you have two of them between breakfast and lunch, and then you have two of them between lunch and dinner, that stuff adds up. It's more than a meal. It's, so if you're eating 3 meals a day, which a lot of people say you should eat more, I'm not going to argue about that. We can talk about that another time. But if you're eating 3 meals a day and then adding like a 1,000 calories of snacks in between, that's how you get your 3,000, 3,500 calories per day, as opposed to what you think you probably eat. If you're trying to lose weight, you're probably 2,000 calories or less. I'm not even close to that. I'm double that. So, all right, realization point. I'm eating too much. I think my training's good. My training's been good. I'm eating too much. So how do we deal with it? Now, like I said, the snack prep thing with Ben Hinton, when I talked to him about this, it makes sense to me. And I think one of the things that I can do is I can take out some of the 200 calorie snacks or 250 calorie snacks that I'm eating, even though they're technically like not bad. I mean, it's not like I'm eating M&Ms or drinking soda. It's like RX bars or Lara bars. I know. Take away my man card. Lara bars. But listen, you got to do what you got to do. Those were the 2 bars that were, I can't even remember the diet that we did, Whole30 compliant. So I just kept eating them. I'm tired. So yeah, I think we got to replace that with more fruit. Maybe bigger portions of veggies, because we've been eating a lot of potatoes, and that was left over from the whole food diet, or the Whole30 diet as well. Was potatoes was okay, rice wasn't, so we just ate potatoes all the time. So it's time to kind of cut back a little bit on the potatoes. I think they're crushing me, and that's so that's the theory. Now let's see if we can put that theory into practice. Is more fruit, less potatoes. And overall, I'm going to continue monitoring the calories on the MyFitnessPal. We'll see how it goes. It's a battle here, guys. That weight number has always been a battle, but to see this number at the highest it's been since I started this video podcast this morning, after a weekend where I did a 10-mile run and the best bike ride I've ever had for 2 hours and 45 minutes. To wake up on Monday morning and step on a scale and see 224 was not fun. Just not fun. So we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with the best way we know how. And right now we've gathered information over the weekend with the MyFitnessPal stuff. And now we're making changes and going to put it into practice. And really, it's a matter of doing it. I've been battling weight for years and years and years. I kind of know, and I knew it. I knew I was eating too much. I knew it. Now I really know it. So what changes, if you want it bad enough, you got to make the changes. What changes do I need to make? We're going to start with that. We're going to start with changing out the snacks, more fruit, less calorie snacks, continue to monitor the situation, and hopefully we'll see some results in the scale in the coming weeks. With that, all right, I've been talking way too long here. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope you guys get a good weekend. It's Monday. I know it's hard. It's hard that first day of the week to start out, but focus, get some focus, and realize it's an opportunity to start the week and get a really good weekend for yourself. With that, that's it. That's all I got for you today. So remember, every day is an ordinary day. It takes you to make it extraordinary. So get after it this week, guys. Let's go.
Remember to like our video and subscribe to our channel.